If you drove down Maple Street that evening, you'd swear you stumbled into a movie. An old veteran stood on his porch with a faraway look in his eyes, his garage empty for the first time in 40 years. His beloved Harley was gone, sold, traded for something far more precious than steel and chrome. And then, just as the sun dipped low, the air began to tremble. At first, it was a whisper. Then it became a roar. Dozens of Harleys rolled into the neighborhood, engines shaking windows, chrome flashing in the dying light. The HELLS angels had arrived, not in anger, but in honor. How did an old man's sacrifice lead to this unforgettable day? This is that story. Frank Miller was no ordinary man. 74 years old, his body bore the weight of battles fought, some in Vietnam, others in life. His arms carried fading tattoos, reminders of a wild youth on the road. His most prized possession was his Harley Davidson Road King, a machine he rebuilt with his own 2 hands and rode across state lines more times than he could count. The bike wasn't just a motorcycle. It was freedom. It was therapy after his wife passed. It was his companion on lonely nights. The sound of the engine was the one thing that still made him feel alive. But Frank had another love, his granddaughter, Lily. 6 years old, bright-eyed, full of questions about the world. But Lily's laughter came with shadows. She suffered from a rare illness that demanded expensive medication. Without it, she would weaken. One night, Frank's daughter Sarah called. Her voice cracked with despair. "Dad, we're short again. Lily's meds cost more this month. We can't cover it." Frank's chest tightened. He could hear Lily coughing in the background. He looked at his Harley through the window, sitting in the dim light of his garage. The old beast seemed to stare back at him, like it knew what he was thinking. That night, Frank barely slept. Memories flooded him, the first time he sat on that bike, the cross-country rides, the freedom of the open road. He whispered to himself, "She comes first." The next morning, Frank rolled the Harley out of his garage. His neighbors watched in silence as the old man placed a for sale sign on it. A young buyer showed up, cash in hand. When the man rode away, Frank stood motionless, the sound of the Harley fading into the distance like the closing of a chapter. Tears lined his eyes. Later, Sarah and Tom came by. When Frank handed them the envelope of cash, Sarah's eyes widened. "Dad, no, what did you do?" "I did what I had to. My bike doesn't matter. Lily does." Sarah hugged him, sobbing. Tom, usually quiet, choked up. "Frank, you're more than a grandfather. You're a hero." Frank brushed it off. "I'm just a man doing what's right." But deep down, the emptiness grew. That night, Frank sat in his garage staring at the empty space. His hands fidgeted, searching for handlebars that weren't there. For the first time in decades, the silence was deafening. What Frank didn't know was that someone noticed. Jimmy Red Carson, a younger neighbor and patched member of the local HELLS Angels chapter, had seen Frank rolling his Harley out for the last time. Jimmy knew Frank's story. They'd shared beers, swapped war tales, and talked bikes for years. When Jimmy heard why Frank sold his Harley, something stirred inside him. He brought it up at their next chapter meeting. This man gave up the one thing he loved most, for his granddaughter. That kind of loyalty? That's what our patch stands for. We can't just let him ride into silence. The brothers agreed. Saturday evening. Frank sat on his porch, lost in thought. He held Lily in his lap, telling her stories of the road, pretending not to miss what he had lost. Then it began. A low rumble, distant at first. Then louder. The sound multiplied, 10, 20, 30 engines. The ground trembled beneath his feet. Neighbors peeked out from curtains, children ran to the sidewalks. Down Maple Street came a convoy of chrome and thunder. The HELLS Angels, dozens of them, filling the road. Leather vests flashed with bold red and white patches. The roar was deafening, not of menace but of respect. Frank stood, shielding Lily with one arm, unsure of what was happening. Jimmy pulled up front, cut the engine, and walked up the driveway. He pulled off his helmet, his eyes steady. "Frank, we know what you did. We know why. And we couldn't let it end like that." Two bikers rolled forward, a Harley Road King, shining like new, chrome gleaming in the sunset. Frank's mouth opened, but no words came out. Jimmy spoke. "This is yours. Papers are in your name. We're not giving it to you as charity, we're giving it to you because you've shown more loyalty and sacrifice than most men could dream of. You deserve to ride." Frank's hands shook as he touched the handlebars. I can't accept this." One angel stepped forward. "You already have. Ride it for her. Ride it for the love that made you give it all up. That's what makes you one of us, even if you never wore the patch." The engines revved as one. The street thundered with unity. Frank looked at Lily, who clapped her little hands in delight. "Papa's bike is back." Frank swung a leg over the Harley. The seat felt like home. He turned the key. The engine roared to life, the sound vibrating through his chest. The HELLS Angels formed around him, a wall of loyalty and brotherhood. Together, they rode out of Maple Street onto the highway. Cars pulled over. Strangers waved. People recorded on their phones as the convoy of riders, with Frank at the heart of it, thundered into the horizon. Tears streamed down Frank's face. He whispered into the wind, "This one's for you, Lily." That night, when Frank parked the Harley in his garage, he stared at it for a long time. Not just at the machine, but at what it represented. It wasn't about the bike. It was about what it meant: love, sacrifice, loyalty, and the brotherhood that shows up when the world least expects it. And so, the neighborhood learned something unforgettable that day. True respect isn't earned with fear or power. It's earned with sacrifice, with love, and with the courage to put others before yourself.